I thought those were
Oh my goodness gracious. I just thought I'd never start with you two because you guys are just such fun. And what's so ironic is that usually they say animation folks, whether you're an appreciator or an actual animator, are these quiet, shy people. And all of that is just myth anyway, because people are individuals and people are all kinds, including in animation. But if there were ever two people who really defy that stereotype, it's the both of you. I want to welcome you both for taking time in your busy afternoon to talk to you. And the elephant in the room for the three of us, but it will be an elephant in the room when we're done, is the second annual Animation Festival. Oh my gosh. Sydney,
Mm-hmm.
when you said yes to coordinating,
Yes.
what did you think? What were your dreams? What are your hopes?
Oh, I love animation so much, and I'm already an animator. So all I want to do is get other people interested in animation. Even if they're not animators themselves, I want them to come and look at local works by Black animators. So that was really my first goal, is just to see how we can get animation out there to the public, especially in the local community. So to me, this was supposed to be a community forum event, and then secondary, we were gonna talk about animation, just do all things animation.
Tamu. Oh my gosh, Tamu. You, where haven't you been in terms of animation in this country as an animation enthusiast? Plus, you used to review for FPS, which was started by your brother, the late, great, wonderful Emru Townsend. But now we move forward, and there's not one, but there's going to be two animation festivals that are for Black people. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think it's fantastic because I remember when I was much younger, I'm sure there were a lot of Black animation enthusiasts. There were Black animators, there are Black animators, but it was something where you had to seek things out, and especially because we were in a less connected world, a less audio visually connected world. We didn't always know who was doing what, where, and what kind of person was behind it. So often when you had enthusiasm or a fandom, you kind of felt in many cases that you were the only one. And not only is that not true, it's more visible than ever. And I think for me, I grew up with love and a knowledge of Black history. And what that made me understand was that we are everywhere all the time. Whether we're working by ones and twos or whether we're working as a large community, we find the things that we love and we can do them. And I find the more you know your history, the more you feel that you can just indulge in the things that you love because you know that you have a place there. You know that you can do anything. And so when people find their love of animation, especially these days, people say there's no reason why I shouldn't be here, why I shouldn't be in this space. But especially for the people who came before, they had to know that they had the agency, whether it's to be an animator, whether it's to be involved in the industry, whether it's to be someone who says, yes, I just enjoy this and I'm going to go seek it out. And so it means a lot to me that now there's an ease, more of an ease that people have in joining the ranks of the industry, in celebrating their love of animation, whether it be they're an anime fan. Now when you go to an animation convention, there's a huge Black population. There's a big subculture there. But if you're a stop motion fan, you can do the same thing. If you like all types of animation, if you like, Saturday, what used to be Saturday morning animation series, if you like paint on glass, that there's a space for you there.
So, Sydney, goals for this upcoming festival. I'm stoked when I heard about it. And I heard about it in different iterations, but when I really heard about it, that you're screening films by Black animators. Are they all in Montreal or they're from elsewhere? Tell me, when I get there, what's going to happen?
Well, they're all based in Montreal, but the fun thing is that we have many different techniques. So we even have one of the animators that will be screening is also going to be a guest speaker, and his name's Kofi, and he actually does creative coding, so animation through code, and that's something that even we have never seen before. So we just want to see that and show others that we can really push the limits of animation, especially in the industry here, right here in Montreal. A lot of people wouldn't see that you can do all these amazing things through animation, telling all these great stories through it, but even just having a nice mix of techniques. So even just doing 3D with some 2D added to it, someone making stop motion, someone just doing their live 3D codings, things like that. It's just really showing that we are present in the community and that we can make it work here, and we want to be seen and we want to show our own works. So we're going to be showing some really cool animations. We're also going to be having a guest speaker panel. So we're going to have a representative from Cinesite, from Ubisoft, as well as a freelance animator. So this is going to be something that should get all individuals, whether they're just spectators in the community and they just have an interest in animation, whether they are animators or they're looking into how they can become animators and how they can get access to these things. So we have really all of these resources there, and we wish to convey all of that through this festival.
Now, I have to go back because I have a history with animation that goes back a minute and a half, 27, 28 years. But that's me. I'm into the arts. For Madame et Monsieur Joe Blow, everybody, black, white, whatever, who still don't know what animation means, because it really is quite mainstream and populous, but yet very niche to a lot of people. It's a billions of dollar segment of the entertainment entity. In your words, break down what is animation. And you could cite examples like, I'm old school, I know the breadth and width of animation, but I'm going to go Flintstones. Take it away. Tamu?
Oh no, I have to go first. Okay, so well, it's an art form first and foremost, and it's an art form that has actually got a huge breadth and depth, and it involves the moving image. It involves making images one at a time so that they come to life, I guess, or have the illusion of movement. And that is like saying, what is a film or what is a television show? Oh, it's something that goes through a cathode ray tube, or now it goes through fiber optic cables. It doesn't really tell you everything. It is a beautiful means of expression. There are many different subtypes, but it's taking one image one by one and creating something beautiful out of it. Yes, it's $1 billion industry, and yes, the first thing that we think of is, cartoon on on TV. Some people will even dismiss cartoons on the TV because they want animation as a whole to be recognized. Some people will dismiss the art outside of series television, and in order to dismiss all of the other things that animation can be, but ultimately it can be a show on television for kids. It can be a show on television for adults, of which there are many. It can be used to tell a documentary style story, a short story, a long form story. I mean, really, there is so much that can be done. Even if you take one type stop motion animation, you can do stop motion with Lego, where you take an object and then build something with the bricks or move the brick a little bit. You can do that with clay. You can do that with household objects. You can do it in so many different ways that it really is hard to, in a very small amount of time, define or codify. So that's why I use such a broad definition to start with.
Wow. All that for me says is that for you to discover what it can be and be part of the conversation is to get down to the festival this weekend. Sydnie, what does it feel like now in 2024 to be a Black animator? And I ask that because if I were to go out and ask the average Canadian, name a Black animator, I would get do no 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 no. Talk about you and your work.
Okay, so one thing that I like is being a Black animator right here in 2024. It's been amazing. I've been animating for the past 7 years or so. Even when I just learned to animate, I had to do everything traditional because I didn't have the resources to make an animation myself. And there wasn't many people in the community, never mind Black animators. I just couldn't find any other animators as well who were interested in teaching me their ways and teaching me how to get involved in this art form. So being a Black animator right now in 2024 shows me that there is a space for Black animators and there's such a big interest, and I don't feel tokenized, especially since before I would have to come into a space maybe with other filmmakers who have very little knowledge on animation but were interested in it, and I did feel tokenized. So it's really nice being able to have a community and maybe even discuss with them, well, animation's for everyone. It's not something just for kids. It's not just for a certain age group. It's really for everyone, and I love being able to show stories where it's for both adults and children, right?
So now both of you are from a Caribbean background, and I love it. I loved over the past few years the stuff that will just make you lie and flatline out, right? I like the Jamaican animation where she's kicking the Coke dispenser. That's right. Hey, dirty machine, give me back my money. And I love the one out of Trinidad, Leroy. No, mommy, I don't curse. I am going to ask you, because I know there are tons of animation coming out of the Caribbean, all over the world, frankly, but speak to some of your more favorite ones that you've seen or are familiar with.
Well, I guess I should have come more prepared because I can't remember the name of the director.
That's fine.
But there is a film, it's a feature film called Battle Dream Chronicle. And a pilot has already been created for a series. And the film was created by one person, a feature.
Ooh.
It is lovely, and I think it is, I saw it as an adult. I think it's a great film as an adult. I think a great target for that film would be the demographic of teenagers and tweens, like 10 to 18. I'm not saying that 10 to 25 wouldn't like it, 10 to 35 wouldn't like it. I adored it, and I saw it in my 40s. And so for the entire film, it is 2D, it's computer animated, and he made another film after it as well, I believe called Opal. And it has lots of Caribbean iconography. It's Afrofuturistic. It takes place mostly in a VR space, but it does look at, has distinctly Caribbean flavor, and it does have themes that involve slavery and resistance.
Ooh.
And agency as well, even though it's in the computer, in the metaverse. and it's a lovely film. It deserved much more distribution. It did have a good run at the festivals, and I hope it'll be available for more distribution or streaming.
I'm going to go to you, Miss Sydnie. What is a Caribbean animation that comes to mind for you?
Well, for me, we did have the pleasure of having a Guyanese director. Last year, we hosted our first annual Black Animated Film Festival, named Doriel. I don't know why I can't remember the last name right now, but Doriel, I was very impressed. She worked with in Dreams in Vanna Black. So that was a great series. That was something where I found it interesting, where it was a series where we're able to share stories between poets and writers and animators and put them all together. And I really found it amazing that Doriel's Guyanese. It's really smaller population. I come from a Guyanese background, but just to know that there are other people there who are trying to bring that work and bring it back home, I really appreciate that and connecting with them. So,
all right, we're almost out of time. I feel like I could talk to you forever and ever and ever, but I think to really get into it, folks need to come and engage with you at the festival, because that's what typically happens, more so at an animation festival than for me a live action festival or a festival where there's more documentaries and features. For sure you're going to talk and meet people and be animated, right? I know, groan. Terrible pun. But I don't want to leave without paying homage to the work of Emru as a publisher of a review magazine that a lot of today's generation, black, white, whatever, are not familiar with. Could you tell us briefly about Emru? He had such a long storied life in his short years because he had such impact. But I like the two answers you just gave me. At the end, I'm going to give the name so people Google.
Thank you.
Okay. What would you like to say about your brother Andrew?
What I can say briefly is that he was born 3 years before me, and ever since we got together, we have had a love for the visual arts. We've had a love of, popular media. We grew up going to a lot of museums. We grew up with an appreciation of art. We grew up with our television constantly on, with Saturday morning comics, with PBS, and seeing Spider-Man and Electric Company and getting Spidey stories in the mail. And of course, going to Perrette, which is the convenience store, which is no longer around, before the comic stores rose up, to go and get comics. And we were voracious readers. We loved art, so it was just a perfect thing to love Saturday morning cartoons and comic books. And with that came what most kids would have that love of comics, of cartoons on Saturday morning, and it would stick in their craw. There was something there that was just really special. We loved Warner Brothers cartoons. I mean, not in the way of little kids just loving it. We loved it because we were little kids, but as we kept watching, we started trying to break down what they were doing. One of the first things we ever did when we got a VCR was watch everything in slow motion so that we could see how it worked. So there was an advantage to having a beta machine, even if VHS won out, because you could slow everything down and see a perfect image. And we wanted to see how everything was created and broken down. Long visits to the library involved reading out all of the sections on all of the in the children's section, they put adult books about comics and animation. So we had a copy of The Illusion of Life that they put into the children's section. We took it out. We read it cover to cover. So little things started, but then in Montreal at I was 10, so he was 13. The Museum of Fine Arts brought a very large-scale exhibition to town. It was curated by Louise Baudet, who was at the time, the director of animation at the Cinémathèque Québécoise, and I believe later president of ASIFA Canada. And I think during that reign, president of ASIFA Canada. And it was just another indication to us that this was art, this was big, and this was something that we could dive even further into. And so we did. And leaving a lot of stuff out. Over the years, my brother really enjoyed writing. We both continue to really enjoy animation. And so he decided to start an animation fanzine called FPS. And then it became a semi-professional zine, and then it got distribution that was much wider at one point in all the Barnes and Nobles. And multi-mags. You could find a copy of FPS for a brief time.
Around the world as well.
Well, around the world among animation artists. So
exactly.
People,
that's still quite
yes,
huge.
we got letters from people who were pretty far away, and eventually he relinquished the print magazine, and it was edited by Chris Robinson, who is the director of the Ottawa International Animation Festival. And after FPS, the print run ended, he started the website, which was the blog plus interviews, things like that. So it started about 5 years before he died. And so near the end, we had the magazine. The online magazine. We also started doing events, and I came to him and I said, I want to bring animators to town. And of course, it would make sense to do it under the banner of FPS. So he was like, okay, let's do it. So we brought Ray Harryhausen, who was a big stop motion animator. He was legendary. And we brought another stop motion director, Mike Johnson, who was up and coming. And we just wanted to spread the love, basically. He got to interview people like Hayao Miyazaki and things like that. And eventually, because he also loves computers, he became a juror in the SIGGRAPH, the Special Interest Group of Computer Graphics and Interactive Techniques. And he became the animation chair during his last year, and in 2008. And he was a very happy person, just trying to meet people who shared the love that he loved and encourage people. And it's fitting because now he has a award in his honor at the Mel Hoppenheim School of Cinema at Concordia. And he can help people who remember him can help propel other people forward. And because he was remembered for bringing people together, the Society of Animation Studies actually named a travel grant after him that is given out every year.
And I felt, even though I think this interview is timeless, but it was important for me to say that when we're leveraging heroes, as we do every day, but it's especially important to put the history in Black History Month. So I thank you for sharing, Tamu. And we're going to share this video. I so think it's important. The final word goes to you, Sydnie. Tell people where they can find you and that the website for information, where the festival is going to be. I'm like in awe. I'm numb. I'm saying it. Second annual Black Animation Festival in Montreal.
Yeah, so actually we're having it at the Phi Center, so we're really excited to be hosting it at this well-known venue. And we understand that this is something where it might be attractive to a lot of our community members. So you can actually attend the festival. It's open to all individuals, as we said, anyone who's just interested in animation or who just wants to find out more information. So you can find out more information about the festival on the BCRC's website, so bcrcmontreal.com, as well as our Instagram page and Facebook and LinkedIn as well. And should you have any questions, you could just reach out to myself, Sydnie Baynes. So yes.
I thank both of you. And you know what? Next month in March, when we get to be women, this will have just as much importance because we get to be women all month. Oh, March, we are women next. All right, I'll behave now. All right, the silly is over. You mentioned 2 films earlier, Black Caribbean films. Say the names, plus your brother's name so people can Google it.
Battle Dream Chronicle, Opal, and my brother's name is Emru Townsend, Emru.
And is there anything you want people to Google? Oh yes, the Guyanese director's name.
Oh yes, Doriel.
Put Guyanese and
Guyanese
Doriel.
Doriel.
You know how people use
Dreams
Google.
in Vanna Black. So that's something that you'll be able to find as well. It's even available on CBC Gem for free.
Ah, Dreams?
Dreams in Vanna Black.
Dreams?
It's fantastic.
Yes.
Oh, good. Thank you for your time. Everybody listening in the sound of my voice, my name is Pat Dillon-Moore, and I'm so pleased to have done this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're animated. Let's be animated. Now it's the stuff that's going to happen off camera that I want you guys. But you will only get to experience when you come to the 2nd annual Montreal Black Animation Film Festival.